Hi everyone, welcome to Vision IS and welcome to the analysis and discussion on the questions for internal security for 2020 mains, that is of paper 3 of general studies. Before my session, two of my colleague teachers had taken the discussion on economics and environment, science and technology and disaster management. I am going to be dealing with the internal security portion. My name is Jatin Gupta. There are 4 questions which have been asked this year from the topic of internal security. And what I would try to tell you, apart from what could have been written in those particular questions, how you could have extracted the maximum marks out of the examiner, I am also going to be talking about some of the sources that you need to refer, or some of the sources that you could have probably referred in order to answer these questions. All the 4 questions, if you look at them, they are more or less very straightforward in nature. There isn't any twisted thing which has been given this year in the internal security questions. We have seen in last couple of years that the UPSC tried to confuse the aspirants a bit with some of the questions, but this year relatively all the questions seem to be very straightforward in nature. So without wasting much time, let us have a look at all the 4 questions. Let us try to see that what are the topics which UPSC has given emphasis on this year. What are perhaps some of the topics which will be important, keeping in mind the pattern for this year for next year. That is, for people those who are appearing in 2021 and 2022, what are some of the things that you need to keep in mind in order to successfully get through the questions which are provided to you for internal security. And then we would also try to understand that what could probably be the game changer, or what are some of the things which you could write different from other aspirants in the examination to get more marks out of the examination. So let's have a look at the question. So the first question that was provided was question number 9, and question number 9 talked about cyber crimes in India. So question number cyber crimes in general. So question number 9 of this year was a 10 marker, and it was related to internal security. So if you look at the question, this question relates to the topic that has been provided in your syllabus called as basics of cyber security. So there is a topic called as basics of cyber security that has been provided in the internal security syllabus of paper 3 of general studies, and in that portion we also need to read some of these things. So what I am going to do is very quickly I will tell you, because I usually don't get this time with many of you, those who are not my students in the classroom, to tell that what could be the approach to prepare for this particular topic. So see, as far as the topic of basics of cyber security by UPSC is concerned, it is one of their very pet topics. It is a topic from which they ask a question every year. From 2014, since the syllabus of the examination has changed, they have asked a question almost every year from basics of cybersecurity, and at times you may even find 2 questions in the question paper from basics of cybersecurity, or role of media or social media, etc., and so on and so forth. So when we talk about basics of cybersecurity, what are the things that we need to prepare as a part of our preparation? This is for those who are appearing in 2021 and 2022. I am going to tell you a bit about it, then I will come to the question. Okay, so when we talk about topic of basics of cyber security, see, first and foremost you need to know the meaning and the definition of cyber security. What do you mean by cyber security? What is the definition of cyber security? Then you need to be knowing about the threats to cyberspace. What are some of the threats that are facing the cyberspace? And in this you will have to further break this down into 3 areas, where you will have to understand what exactly cyber crimes are, what are the examples of cyber crimes, etc., and so on and so forth. You will then have to know what exactly cyber terrorism is, how do we define cyber terrorism, what is the definition of cyber terrorism, what are some of the examples of cyber terrorism, and then you would also have to understand cyber warfare, right? So these are threats to the cyberspace that you would have to prepare properly and understand some of them. And here you would also have to keep a very close eye on the law that exists in India for cyber crimes. India के अंदर जो law exist करती है cyber crimes के लिए या cyber security से related जो law है, that is the information technology law, right? Or in fact, if I were to give you the exact name of the law, it is the Information Technology Act of 2000, and there were certain major amendments that were made in this act in the year 2008. So the amendments of 2008, some of the sections that were introduced, these are some of the things that you need to keep this, when you read these sections, when you read about cyber crimes, when you read about cyber terrorism, when you read about cyber warfare, you will have to pay special attention to the Information Technology Act of year 2000. Okay, so that is about basics of cyber security. One portion will be the threats to cyberspace. Once you have understood the threats to cyberspace, another portion that you need to prepare for the examination is the importance of cyber security for India. Importance of cyber security for India. What is the importance of cyber security for a country such as India? You need to get some data, get some evidence on, how we are technology based, we are a technology based economy, service based industry, where largely things are driven by technology. Today we are moving towards smart city, today we are moving towards e-governance and all these other things, and therefore what we need is the inculcation of technology into various processes in the economy. But for that, cyber security also becomes important. Then you also perhaps need to talk about vulnerability of India. Vulnerability of India to cyber threats. Okay, so this is another portion that you need to prepare. Once you've prepared all these portions, then you need to prepare the portion of what steps have been taken by the government, and here you will have to focus on the steps taken in terms of legislation, steps taken in terms of creating institutions, steps taken in terms of certain schemes, programs of the government, policies, etc., and so on and so forth. Then you will have to further deep dive into some of them. Say for example, National Cyber Security Policy of 2013 is something that you need to pay a bit of attention to understand what are the salient features of this policy and what are some of the criticisms of this policy, right? Once you have done all of this, then you need to be aware of what are some of the challenges in ensuring cyber security in India, how to ensure ensuring a secure cyberspace in India. So how do we ensure a secure cyberspace? There are several challenges that Indian government or we face as a country, and then you need to prepare what is the way ahead. Okay, what are some of the things that need to be done in future in order to make India a country which is secure from the cyberspace perspective. Also, you need to give a bit of importance on the international conventions, international law and international initiatives, right? For example, you need to know about the Budapest Convention, etc., and so on and so forth. So you need to be aware of those things as well. This is the whole gamut of things that you need to prepare in order to be ready to encounter any kind of question that UPSC will pose in front of you from the topic of basics of cyber security. This year specifically, the question was from this particular area where they asked about cyber crimes. So let us try to have a look at the question, and then we will try to understand what exactly should have been our response to the question. I'll give you a couple of minutes, especially for the ones, those who have not written the paper this year. You give a couple of minutes to understand and read what could your response possibly be to this question. It's a 150 word marker, it's a 10 marker, it's 150 words maximum word limit. So there is not a lot of scope to write a lot of things. Okay, you have to sum up your answer as quickly as possible, writing as many dimensions and writing a comprehensive answer. Okay, so let's have a look at the question. It says that discuss the different types of cyber crimes. You have to discuss the different types of cyber crimes and what are the measures that are needed to be taken to fight this menace. What are the measures that are needed to be taken to fight this menace, and what are the different types of cyber crimes, right? So this is the question that UPSC has posed in front of us, a 10 marker, 150 words question. I'm not going to talk about whether the question was easy or difficult right now, but what I want you to do is take a couple of minutes and think what could possibly your response be to this particular question. What could your response be? Where it says that you have to discuss different types of cyber crimes. So you have to talk about different types of cyber crimes in your answer. And second thing is you also need to talk about the measures needed to combat cyber crimes. This is a 150 word marker, so the emphasis has to be that can we write maximum number of points, maximum number of dimensions in the least possible time and still answer the question properly, right? So these are the two things which have to be answered in the question. I hope that all of you have identified that. Now, when we move further into the question, what could be a possible introduction to this question, sir? Because this has to be written in body, this has to be written in body, there will be some kind of a conclusion where we will perhaps talk about what are some of the initiatives that have been taken by the government, or we will talk about what are the initiatives that are needed to be taken in the future, etc. and so on and so forth. Or maybe we could talk about some of the challenges with respect to combating cyber crimes in India. But what could be a possible introduction to this particular question? What could be a possible introduction? Can some of you provide me answers, inputs on what could be there possibly in introduction to this question? This is a good chance for you to tell me what you think and then maybe get a feedback, right? What could be a possible introduction to such a question? Always remember one thing, I have always keep repeating this, that an introduction should be such that when the examiner reads your introduction, he or she should know what the question is about. He or she should understand what the question is about, right? What is the intent of the question should be clear to the examiner upon reading your introduction. So Sejal is saying that, sir, I will provide the meaning and the importance of cybercrime. Great. That's a very good approach, right? You could be talking about how do you define cyber crimes? That is, you write some definition of cyber crimes, and you then also talk about the importance, I won't say importance, I would say the significance of increasing cyber crimes in today's times. Or you could be talking about some instances of cyber crimes, right? You could talk about that recently there were a large number of people, those who were involved in phishing, were caught in so and so area and so and by so and so police or something like that. Or maybe you could give some statistic from a particular report, right? Or you could be citing down just simply the definition of cybercrime, and you could be talking about the importance of cybercrime or importance of cyber security for a country such as India, which is so developed, which is so dependent on technology for its economic purposes, etc. and so on and so forth. So what is the definition of cybercrime? See, cybercrime is any illegal act. Okay, try to understand very simple thing. What exactly is cybercrime? It is any illegal act where the computer or a computing device is either a tool or the target. If you perform a conventional crime, such as, let's say, theft or robbery or any other kind of conventional crime, maybe even terrorism, in such a case, when you use computer as a tool to commit that particular crime, then it would be called as cybercrime. But not just that, but when a computer or a computing device or network or some information is the target as well, would also be called as a cybercrime. This is the simplest possible definition of cybercrime that you can give. Some of my students in my class, I also told them that in the Information Technology Act of 2000, the term cybercrime has not been defined. There is no definition of the term cybercrime in the Information Technology Act of 2000. Perhaps one can write about that as well, because this is a very broad term which encompasses a lot of things. Once you have talked about cybercrime, then you talk about that in today's time, cyber crimes have become a significant menace to the society, and maybe you could give a percentage. Like there was a report recently which came out which said that if cyber crimes are not stopped, then it would start affecting a country's GDP from almost 1 to 4%. 1 to 4% of a country's GDP would get affected as a result of cyber crimes occurring in the economy. So you could give something like that as a data in order to substantiate what is the importance of cyber crime. Then you will have to talk about different types of cyber crimes and maybe discuss each one of them in a line or a two. What could be possible different cyber crimes that you could be mentioning about? Can you people tell me what are the types of cyber crimes which you can mention in your answer? What are some of the types of cyber crimes which you can discuss in your answer, which you can mention in your answer? Can you tell me quickly? Types of cyber crimes that you could be mentioning in your answers. Okay, good. So there is an answer that has come in: cyber defamation, online abuse, bank fraud, etc. Great. So see, you could write about phishing. I hope that you people know what phishing is. When you get these mails that you have won $1 billion from the Coca-Cola, or that Bill Gates is giving away some of his fortune to you people without doing anything in life, then that is nothing but that's phishing, because they are sending you a malicious link and a fraud website on which you will file or send your important information, which could be a personal information, financial information, which would be then used to commit a crime. So phishing could be one. You could be talking about identity theft. Right? Identity theft is something that you could be talking about. And do remember, as I told you, you could be mentioning some of the sections of the IT Act as well. Say for example, here you could mention about section 66 of the IT Act. See, these things have to be prepared. तैयारी करनी पड़ती है. ऐसा नहीं होता कि अपने आप एग्जामिनेशन में आ जाता है, सर मेरे को तो पता ही नहीं था, ये नहीं पता था तो पता करो. तभी मैंने बोला कि जब आप साइबर क्राइम्स पढ़ें, साइबर थ्रेट्स पढ़ें, ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड देम इन कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ द IT Act of 2000. Okay. So identity theft could be there, phishing could be there. Then you could talk about child pornography, dissemination of child pornography. You could give example of cyber stalking. 376D of the IPC also now talks about cyber stalking, that you are trying to send unsolicited message to someone and so on and so forth. So that is another thing that you could be giving example of. You could give example of denial of service attack. Denial of service attack, and you will have to give examples. Okay, you will have to substantiate with some current affairs example कि Zomato का ये fraud हो गया था, HSBC का ये fraud हो गया था, इसकी ये website hack हो गई थी, ये हो गया था, वो हो गया था. So you will have to give examples. You will have to give examples of hacking, right? Breaking into someone's system and then getting unauthorized access to their information, data, etc. and so on and so forth. So you could give example of hacking. Yes, Suresh, you can mention example of ransomware. Right? So there are several of these cyber crimes which you could be mentioning about, and there are a number of them. Okay, online gambling could be one, sale of illegal items could be one. All these kind of things could be mentioned as cyber crimes. Once you have explained them, very easy, nothing, no rocket science about it. The next part of it is that what are the measures needed to combat this menace? What measures are needed to combat this menace? So let's try to understand what you could be writing in this part. Now see, try to understand one thing. I always say that try to relate one part of your answer to the other part of your answer. So between the first part, that is the introduction, and between the second part, that is the types of cyber crime, there was already a link. Now how do you link types of cyber crimes to the menace or combating the menace? You say that it is really crucial to combat this problem of cyber crimes because of the kind of tremor waves it could send into a country's economy or whatever, something like that you could write down. And then you mention, therefore, some of the steps that are needed to be taken to combat this menace are as follows. Try to relate the two parts of your answer, try to make the answer as organic and as fluid as possible. Okay. Now, what you need to then talk about is what are the measures needed to combat this menace. Now, here, what I would suggest to you people is, of course, you people may have your own ideas to go about doing this, and this is this is going to vary a lot from one aspirant to another. Some aspirants will simply start writing जैसे जैसे दिमाग में आता रहेगा 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, which in my opinion is not the best strategy. What you should ideally do is you should divide this, bucket this, maybe make a diagram also. Okay, so one diagram that you could make is measures needed to combat cyber crimes, and I will draw a diagram. Okay, I will draw a diagram and then I will explain some of these finer points of this in the text. So what I could talk about is that there are certain institutional measures that are required. There are certain legal measures that are required. There are certain measures that are required to be taken at the individual level. Right? So try to break this down. What are the measures needed to combat cyber crimes? For example, in legal, you could be talking about that there are a large number of glaring loopholes that exist in the present day act. That is, the Information Technology Act of 2000 was originally not supposed to be combating against cyber crimes. The intention of the IT Act 2000 was not to combat cyber crimes in the country. So there is basically some kind of a loophole. So IT Act was originally not meant for combating cyber crime. The purpose was very different. The purpose was to regulate e-retail in India and B2B contracts in India. So not meant for combating cyber crimes. So you could talk about this. So there are certain changes that are required in the law. Then similarly, you could talk about that at individual level there are certain steps to be taken. People should be made aware. People should be incentivized to install firewalls and antiviruses on their computer systems. Perhaps there is a requirement of bringing in an attitudinal change in the private sector as well. So how do you incentivize the private sector to take up several cyber security measures, etc.? We perhaps need to do a whole lot of research on cyber crimes and come up with newer technologies in order to identify cyber crimes at an early stage and combat them effectively. Institutional, perhaps there is a requirement to create more institutions or strengthen the existing institutions. Say for example, we have National Critical Infrastructure Information Protection Center, NCIIPC. Perhaps there is a requirement to further strengthen this. So these are some of the measures that you could be mentioning. Okay, there are a number of measures, and that's why I said that there is no point of me telling you that these measures should be taken. आप IT Act के बारे में लिखिएगा, incentivizing private sector के बारे में लिखिएगा, you talk about increasing individual awareness, you talk about increasing the enforcement of the ensuring the effective implementation of the law that exists already, right? You need to be talking about upgrading the skills of the police forces, of the various security agencies, so that they understand cyber crimes. There is a requirement to have surveillance systems installed across the network. You could be talking about something like a Netra. So this is an excellent opportunity for you to write down whatever you know about cyber crimes, because this is a very open-ended kind of a question. You can make as many dimensions as you want to and then write down the measures needed to combat cyber crimes, right? So once you have mentioned the measures that are needed to combat cyber crimes, don't go into unnecessary detail and analysis, etc. Now, the way you could conclude the answer, the way conclusion could be provided. See, if you look at it, introduction would have already taken around 20 to 30 words of yours. The types of cyber crimes would have, even if you would have written, let's say 5 cyber crimes, it would have taken almost 50 words. So you are gone with 80 words. If you would have written the measures needed to combat cyber crimes, that would have again taken 50-60 words more of yours. So there would have been only 10-15 words that would have been left for conclusion. So you need to be smart about writing the conclusion here. Okay. So what could be a possible conclusion that I could be writing here, sir? See, there are a number of things you could be writing. One, you could be talking about some upcoming scheme of the government of India, some upcoming initiative of the Government of India. If some of you would have spent the time to read the last year paper, you could have talked about the Cyber Dome project only that came in last year's paper, which UPSC was trying to judge the aspirants on. So you could mention about the the upcoming initiatives. Maybe that is one approach. Second approach could be that you could be talking about that what are some of the things that are needed to be done in future, and what is lacking right now as far as our efforts in combating cyber crimes are concerned. So what are the efforts that are needed to be done in future or needed to be taken in future, right? That is another thing that you could be talking about. You could even finish on a positive note, where you could say that if we are able to combat cyber crimes effectively, then it will be able to spur in a new era of technology resolution and bring in a digital revolution, and the fourth industrial revolution, etc. could be brought in. So those kind of things. So point I am trying to say is that this answer marks will vary a lot, because I can guarantee the question is so open-ended. It is not very objective in nature. Every aspirant will try to write the answer in their own ways for this particular question. Okay. Any questions or any doubts that you people may have related to the question that I just discussed, you can send it to the class coordinators, you can send it on the chat, and I can take it up. Please don't ask questions which are out of context. If I am teaching something here and then you say कि sir वो वाला topic कैसे prepare करना है sir वो कहाँ से पढ़ें, sir वो पढ़ेंगे. सोचो, समझदार लोगों, जब आपसे कोई क्वेश्चन पूछा जाए तो उसके कॉन्टेक्स्ट में ही अपने को आंसर करना है, ना कि कहीं से भी मतलब कुछ भी पूछ के हमें क्वेश्चन पूछना है. Any questions that you people have, I will just check the chat also. Maybe if there are any questions on the chat, I will see. Okay, any question? Okay, yeah, so what could be the sources which could be referred for this particular part? Good thing, right? So I'll tell you what could be the possible sources from which you could prepare the topic of cyber security. See, first and foremost, I would suggest that if you were to prepare for the topic of internal security, it will be good that if you can get the notes of some coaching class, at least to understand that what all has to be prepared, so that you don't miss out on something which the other students are preparing, कि ऐसा ना हो कि आप कुछ miss out कर दो अपनी preparation में. ठीक है, तो पहली बात तो आप वो refer कर लो. You can get my handwritten notes only on floating somewhere on Telegram, or you may be able to get them on the the photocopy shops, etc. So that is one. Second thing what you could do is that you will have to then start preparing for internal security on the basis of reports, on the basis of newspaper editorials, articles, etc. Some people ask me that, sir, are there any good books that have been written for internal security? My answer will be no, because the books that have been written are absolutely rubbish. They are a copy paste of the reports of government, and there is contextual clarity which is lacking in them. They have written a lot of gibberish which does not have any relevance for the examination, and it is important that you stick to what is required for the examination. Another source that you could possibly refer is the Vision IAS value added material. We have revised it very recently for internal security. It is widely available everywhere, so you could be using that as well. Now, what are the sources apart from that if I were to do complete self-study on my own? Well, in that case, what you could do is that for cyber security, there is an IDSA report that exists. You could be referring that. There is a Niti Aayog study also that came out regarding the cyber security and cyber crimes in India. You could be referring that as well. There is a study by KPMG as well that has been done on cyber crimes in India. You could be referring it. Okay. But of course, this is a time consuming process. This is going to take time for you to prepare. Another good way to prepare would be that you go and refer the previous year questions, and you refer the test series questions, and once you have referred the test series questions and the previous year questions, most of your dimensions would have already been covered. Try to cover previous year questions for 5 years, in fact from 2013 onwards, and for the test series you can refer last 2 years of test series and questions of internal security. बस ज़्यादा तो नहीं होगा, वो कर लीजिए आप, मैं बता रहा हूँ आपको ऑलरेडी सब कुछ वैसे ही हो जाएगा. Anyway, so this is what I just wanted to address in terms of source. Any other question that you people have? Any other question in your mind? Okay, fine. So let's start. Okay, now let's go to the next question. Next question is also a 10 marker. It's a 115 words maximum word limit. The question says that for effective border area management, discuss the steps that are required to be taken to deny local support to militants and also suggest ways to manage favorable perception among locals. See, there are two parts of the question and I will try to explain them very quickly. There are two things, but one it says is that for effective border area management, what can be the steps that can be taken to deny local support to the militants? So see, in border areas we have seen that militants thrive and survive largely because there is one element that goes missing from the security agency's perspective, that is the local support that is available to the militants for their operations. Now there are several reasons for this. Only when you know the reasons for why people support militants would you be able to understand what are the steps that are required to be denying the support to the militant. So आपको पहले तो पता होना चाहिए रीजंस क्या हैं, व्हाट आर द रीजंस. अगर आपको रीजंस पता है ना तो आप इसके आंसर अपने आप लिख दोगे. व्हाट आर द स्टेप्स दैट आर नीडेड टू बी टेकन टू डिनाई सपोर्ट टू द मिलिटेंट. बहुत सिंपल है. सो दिस इज वन. एक तो ये पता होना चाहिए. अगर ये पता है तो फिर ये वाला पोर्शन बहुत आसानी से आंसर हो जाएगा. दिस कैन बी आंसर वेरी इजीली वंस यू नो दिस. सेकंड पार्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चन इज दैट यू हैव टू आल्सो सजेस्ट वेज to manage favorable perception among locals. How do we improve the perception among the locals? Locals के among किस तरीके से perception को improve किया जाए? Okay, so let's try to understand this. This is a very good question that has been framed by UPSC. This is something that you could not always prepare in advance. Even though to my students I did tell them about some of the things related to border management, village volunteer force, village development committees, etc., involvement of the community, community participation in border management, etc., and border area development scheme, bringing in more economic development in these areas. These are some of the things that you could have written. But I'll be very honest, if someone says that, sir, did you tell your student that this question will come in the examination? No, it was not possible. But what I did was that I prepared them from all the ends to tackle a question like this by understanding that what could be the requirement or what could be the reasons because of which the militants are being supported by the local population. Once you address that, then things become very easy. So let's try to understand that. What are the reasons because of which the locals end up supporting the militants? So first and foremost, अगर आपको reasons पता है तो मैंने अभी क्या बार बार बोला कि reasons पता है तो हम उसके response भी दे सकते हैं, measures भी दे सकते हैं. So what are the reasons? See, first and foremost is underdevelopment. Economic development has not happened properly in these areas, and there are lack of economic opportunities. Lack of economic opportunities. Because there are lack of economic opportunities, people are not seeking enough. People are not able to get enough for their needs. As a result, they have started to therefore involve themselves in such activities. ठीक है, तो ये अपने आप को लोग इस तरीके की एक्टिविटीज में इन्वॉल्व करना शुरू कर देते हैं because of underdevelopment, because of lack of economic opportunities, etc. That is one. Second reason that you need to understand why local support is available to the militants is because at times there is a propaganda that has been spread by the militants. The propaganda machinery that has been used by the militants to get the support of the locals. Third, you could talk about is how they are also coerced and pressurized by the militants, to support them. Okay, so this is the third reason that you need to be knowing. ये अभी मैं बोल रहा हूं कि reasons क्या होने चाहिए, अभी हम आंसर डिस्कस नहीं कर रहे हैं, आंसर के अंदर इसका यूज आएगा. ठीक है, so underdevelopment, lack of economic opportunities, then propaganda machinery of the militants, then at a lot of times these people are coerced. I hope that you know the meaning of coerced, that they are pressurized, they are forced into doing certain activities by the militants. Then another reason which you need to understand is the unfavorable opinion about security forces. There is an unfavorable opinion about security forces. You could be talking about that there is a trust deficit that exists between the security forces and between the people. Right? ये कुछ reasons हैं. अब आपने reasons identify कर लिए तो you will be easily able to identify what should be the steps also that should be taken, right? So क्या जब reasons identify कर लिए तो steps किस तरीके से लिखने हैं? Underdevelopment and lack of economic opportunities. Perhaps there is a need to spur the economic opportunities and economic activities in these areas. So what could be the ways in order to do that? किस तरीके से हम economic opportunities बढ़ा सकते हैं, किस तरीके से हम वहां पे development कर सकते हैं? You could talk about border area development program. You could talk about setting up of border haats. You could talk about the creation of integrated checkposts to enable the easy and the hassle-free movement of the goods and the services across the border, right? So underdevelopment and lack of economic opportunities वगैरह के related आप ये लिख सकते हो. Maybe there you could talk about skilling of the youth could be done so that youth could be weaned into activities such as economic opportunities essentially and not be attracted towards these things. Then how do you counter the propaganda machinery, right? So there is a requirement for the government also to take certain steps on this particular on this particular front. So there is a launch of a massive communication campaign that should be done by the government. Then at times they are coerced by the militants. You could also be talking about that they are lured by the militants also a lot of times. So in order to check them, it is important that if there is any person who has been supporting militants or is found to be supporting militants, strictest possible action should be taken against them. Then you could also be talking about that it is a real important thing to keep a vigil and surveillance on some of the unwanted elements entering into the villages, into the bordering areas, and keeping a very close eye on them, establishing some surveillance network in these areas, right? That is another thing you could be mentioning. Then you could be talking about unfavorable opinion of the security forces. See, a lot of times people look at the security forces in the border areas who are called as border guarding forces also, BGF. They look at them very unfavorably. Why do they look at them unfavorably? Because the role of the border guarding forces is such that they are very restrictive in nature. And their role is such that they are trying to always regulate things. So no one wants to be stopped by anyone, and locals look at these border guarding forces as coming from outside and not knowing the culture and the region and still trying to impose their own ideas and trying to curb the freedom of these people which they don't like. So you need to mention that now, but the question is कि sir introduction में क्या लिखेंगे हम? What should we be writing in introduction? So see, there are 2-3 introduction ideas that I can possibly get right now. One introduction idea is that you talk about the extent of the support which is being provided to the militants by the local population in some of the bordering areas of India, because of which India's security has been put at threat. You could talk about that in the recent times there have been several attacks that have been committed that could possibly not have been committed without the support of the local population. So this is a serious problem. One is that. Second way you could basically be talking about is you could talk about that how the militant activities, how the border management is not something which is related only to the creation of infrastructure. Border management does not relate to only creation of or erection of surveillance cameras, erection of surveillance devices, but it also means creating a strong human network in order to preserve your country's borders and in order to preserve the integrity of your country. And once you mention that, then you talk about that in the recent times we have seen that how militants are being supported by the local population. So some of the steps that are needed to be taken are this and this. So you mention, say for example, communication channel has to be set up, border area development program, skilling, etc. and so on and so forth. And all of these things can be mentioned as activities by you there in this particular question. I hope that this is clear to you people and there is no doubt which is there in your mind. Right? ये clear होना चाहिए सबको. इसके अंदर कोई भी तरीके का ज़्यादा doubt या कोई दिक्कत होने की जरूरत नहीं होनी चाहिए. इसके अंदर एक दो चीजें मैंने और लिखी थी. I had written them somewhere. Yes. What you could be talking about is, हाँ, फिर उसके बाद question आता है that you have to talk about the ways to manage the favorable perception among the locals. How can you manage favorable perception among the locals? ये दूसरा क्वेश्चन है. व्हाट आर द वेज टू मैनेज फेवरेबल परसेप्शन अमंग्स द लोकल. देखिए इसके लिए बहुत सिंपल है. देयर आर नंबर ऑफ थिंग्स दैट यू कैन राइट. ओके, one is that the border guarding forces should show respect for local customs and habits. There is a requirement to sensitize them to the local customs and the culture and the tradition, etc. Second thing is that there should be a clear communication that should be established between the people and between the security forces, where the security forces should clearly communicate for what reasons restrictions are being imposed and for how long the restrictions would be there on the movement, etc. in the border areas in case of some internal security threat which is impending on India's internal security. So that is the second thing. You could also be talking about the third thing that you could be talking about is the civic action program. How you can involve the community, how you can involve the security forces in development of the border areas through civic action program. You could be talking about the development of village development communities in the border areas, something which is being done very actively now. And what these village development committees would also do is that these village development committees would keep a strict vigil on the areas that have been allotted to them, and they will be providing a surveillance and inputs to the security agencies regarding these particular areas. They could also be talking about some of the subversive activities that are being carried out by the enemy in these particular areas. They could report any kind of illegal activity happening in these areas. In fact, this could be an introduction also that you could return to the answer, where you could have mentioned that the people, local population in the border areas are the eyes and the ears of the security forces. This could be very clearly seen from what happened during the 1999 Kargil war, where we came to know of the invasion and intrusion and infiltration into our border areas on our border post when it was reported by some shepherds in Ladakh to the government. जब security agencies को shepherds ने बताया तब पता चला हमें. So they are the first line of defense. They are the sentinels. They are the real protectors of our borders. They are the first line of defense. There is a requirement to create what is called as village volunteer force in villages, where people would volunteer to be the ears and the eyes of the security forces so as to keep the border areas secure from the enemy, right? You could talk about how there could be communication that could be established by holding certain regular meetings, maybe periodic meetings on a monthly or a bi-monthly or a quarterly basis with the village community of the border guarding forces in order to understand their concerns, what are the requirements which are supposed to be taken care of, etc. Then there is a need to change in the very nature of the civilian administration also in these areas, make it more proactive, make it more responsive to the needs of the people, develop infrastructure in these areas, develop some economic opportunities for these people so that these people are not weaned away by the militants and are lured by the militants and sell the country for a few hundred rupees, right? So these are some of the things that you could be talking about, that some assistance could be provided during the the medical emergency times, etc. to the local population by the border guarding forces, right? And there should be strict adherence to law also that should be done. There should be zero tolerance for any kind of corruption, bribery existing in these areas. तो इस तरीके से आप लिख सकते हो और फिर finally आप conclude कर सकते हो कि ये बहुत ही एक important चीज है. This is supposed to be done properly. If this is not done properly, then the country's security gets affected, etc. and so on and so forth. You could give example of Kargil war also to end. So whichever way you want to end the answer, you could be ending this particular question. So this is a very simple question again, okay. The second question also that was asked from internal security topic this year was a relatively very simple question. Any questions that you people may have very quickly, otherwise I will proceed ahead. Any questions? Let's see. Any questions? Someone is saying that, sir, can't we move them somewhere else? Well, I mean, you could move them somewhere else, but then who will be there in the border areas? They will become deserted. And your border guarding forces also require some local population for their survival and for a number of other activities that they are supposed to carry out. Okay? Someone saying that, sir, is it necessary to read a particular book? See, Viraj, that book in my opinion is absolute trash. So it won't really serve the purpose and you will end up wasting a lot of time reading things which are not relevant for the examination. Yes, so someone is saying media can play incentive role. Yes, very good. You can talk about, you know, a very strong media campaign that could be launched. You could be talking about several initiatives. I mean, the sky is the limit in this particular question to write things. Okay. और कोई चीज? Okay. चलो आगे चलते हैं. Let's move now to 19th question. This is the second last question. So what are the determinants of left-wing extremism in eastern part of India? Okay. What are the causes basically of the rise of left-wing extremism in the eastern part of India? Secondly, it says that what strategy should government of India, civilian administration and security forces adopt to counter the threat in affected areas? इससे ज्यादा सिंपल क्वेश्चन नक्सलिज्म पे यूपीएससी ने पिछले 6 साल में पूछा ही नहीं है. This is the simplest question that has been asked in last 6-7 years. What you have to talk about is what are the causes for rise of left-wing extremism in eastern part of India, and then you have to talk about what strategy should be adopted by 3 different players. One is government of India, second one is civilian administration, and the third one is the security forces. These are the 3 which have to be answered here. Okay, so let's try to see if there are any other question. Yeah, so someone is saying that O.P. Chaudhary sir's lecture was very useful on Vision IAS for Naxalism. Yes, it indeed was. He is someone who has served extensively in the Naxal affected areas and understands what is required in the Naxal affected areas to be done. ठीक है, तो चलिए अब इसके अंदर क्या बात करेंगे. सी सबसे पहले तो इंट्रोडक्शन में क्या लिखेंगे सर, बिकॉज दिस इज अ 250 वर्ड क्वेश्चन. वी हैव टू बी वेरी केयरफुल अबाउट राइटिंग अ गुड इंट्रोडक्शन. What could be written? See, you can talk about left-wing extremism. What exactly left-wing extremism is? You could say that left-wing extremism is the extremism which started in India in the year 1967 in Naxalbari. It is a form of extremism that is inspired from the left-wing ideology, where they want to establish a communist state for themselves. They believe that the present system of the society has not yielded the results that were desired. So left-wing extremism has been a major menace. ऐसा कुछ करके आप left-wing extremism के related कुछ statistics लिख सकते हो. You could talk about that presently the extent of left-wing extremism in India has reduced significantly as per the recent report which has been released by Ministry of Home Affairs. It is at its all-time lowest in India today. You could maybe talk about some incident also related to left-wing extremist activities in eastern India in the recent time, something that you may recollect. उससे भी introduction कर सकते हो. Of course, as I said, you could be beginning with definition and the origin of Naxalism in India. Origin of Naxalism in India, right? तो ये आप mention कर सकते हो. You could start from some quote also. If you people would know the quote of Dr. Manmohan Singh that he made in 2006, where he said that Naxalism is the gravest internal security threat that faces India today. So you could be mentioning something like that also. So there are, you know, various ways in which you could introduce this particular answer by talking about the origin or by talking about the incident or some statistic related to left-wing extremism. Now you say that this problem of Naxalism started from eastern India in West Bengal and eventually spread to the rest of the country. But the reasons in eastern India and in rest of the country remain to be largely the same. Yet some of the specific reasons because of which the determinants of rise of left-wing extremism in the eastern parts of India are as follows. तो क्या reasons लिख सकते हो? सबसे पहले तो आप land related issues लिखिएगा. Whether it is eviction, whether it is displacement, whether it is the the grabbing of the land by the money lenders and by the zamindars. Okay, so you could be talking about land related issues. It could be related to eviction that has been done by the money lenders and the landlords. It could be related to displacement due to various infrastructural projects that are coming up in these areas, right? You could also be talking about how there is mining that is happening in these areas, and as a result the ecology is getting destroyed, people are being displaced, and they were never restored to their areas properly, and therefore they lost confidence in the government of India. Okay, they lost confidence in the local administration. So that is one. Second aspect that you could be mentioning apart from land related issues is underdevelopment, economic poverty in these areas. These areas are severely underdeveloped. These areas, there are no medical facilities, health facilities, sanitation facilities, educational facilities are greatly affected. So that could be another reason. Third, you could talk about is the social inequality that exists in these areas is also one of the major reasons because of which Naxalism came up. I don't know how many of you have seen that movie Dashrath Manjhi. In that movie what happens is that one of the protagonists, that is Nawazuddin Siddiqui, his brother, he comes back a few years later after he has been mistreated by the Zamindar as a Naxalite, and then he burns the village of the Zamindar. So there is social inequality also that exists in the society. There is a lot of class and caste violence that takes place in eastern part of India, in response to which various groups have come up, and even Naxalites have taken the sides of the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes and the OBC community have lent a lot of support to the Naxalites or have joined the ranks of the Naxalites because of the kind of social oppression that they have faced in the past. Okay, so this is another reason that you could give. Then you could be writing some more reasons. You could be talking about misgovernance as well, or you could talk about vacuum of governance as Jairam Ramesh would put it. He says that there is a vacuum of governance in these areas. There are no officers, those who are wanting to serve there. Teachers don't want to go there. We have completely left these areas on their own. There is absolutely no interest which is being shown in these areas, because of which again these people become sitting ducks, waited to be devoured by the Naxalites, because Naxalites look at them कि अरे इनको तो बहुत आसानी से indoctrinate कर लेंगे, ये लोग तो वैसे ही बड़े परेशान हैं सरकार से, and government has not done anything for them in so many years. Now we can easily wean them away and we can win them over to our side, and then they will start supporting us, they will join us, right? So these are some of the reasons that you could be mentioning. Okay, there are again a number of reasons which could be mentioned here as well. You could, for example, talk about that how how forest rights have not been respected. Forest rights have not been granted. Title on the land has not been granted. There is corruption in the machinery. There is absolute absence of governance. There is absolute, apathy that exists towards the economic development of these areas. All of these things could be written as determinants of rise of the left-wing extremism in eastern part of India. You could also be talking about that how some of these areas are having such a climatic zone that that agriculture is not possible properly, right? These are mineral rich regions and where illegal mining mafia has come up, etc. and so on and so forth. So that story also you could be writing in this particular answer. एक बार ये लिख दिया, फिर इसमें आता है कि भाई what strategy should be taken by the government of India, civil administration and the security forces. क्या स्ट्रैटेजी होनी चाहिए इन तीनों प्लेयर्स की, वो लिखना है. कुछ ज्यादा नहीं है, बहुत ज्यादा इसके अंदर सोचने का तो है नहीं. दिस इज समथिंग दैट शुड हैव बीन प्रिपेयर्ड बाय यू ऑलरेडी बिफोर द एग्जामिनेशन. ये आपको ऑलरेडी प्रिपेयर्ड होना चाहिए था. तो इसमें आप जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस के रिस्पेक्ट में लिखोगे व्हाट स्टेप्स कुड बी टेकन, राइट? यू कुड टॉक अबाउट स्टेट सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस, दैट देयर इज अ रिक्वायरमेंट टू अपग्रेड देम, capacity building should happen, identification of some of the most motivated individuals and formation of a new group or a battalion, say for example Greyhounds of Andhra Pradesh you could give example of, right? Then you also need to talk about other things with security forces. Security forces need to ensure that there is proper coordination among the various states. There is a requirement to bring in the coordination between the various states, etc. and so on and so forth. There is a requirement to bring in a sensitivity training among the members of the security forces so that they do not mistreat the locals, they understand the context of the locals, they understand the cultures and the traditions of the locals, etc. So that is another thing that you could be mentioning. You could also be talking about that how there is a requirement to introduce more technology for surveillance purposes, drones, etc. and so on and so forth could also be brought in by the security forces for surveillance in these areas. You could talk about improving the intelligence network, human intelligence network. Surveillance has to be improved through various technology as well as human means. Then you could be talking about civilian administration. Civilian administration में क्या लिख सकते हो? You could talk about the fast tracking of the digitization of land records so that land claims can be easily recognized and people can be given their rights. Also ensuring that the pending cases that are there of the approval under the Forest Rights Act, etc. also have to be expedited. That is also something there. Then you could talk about that how the civilian administration needs to utilize the civil society and the NGOs more in the development of these areas, because they have a greater trust established with the people, right? There is a requirement to establish a link between coordination between security forces and civilian administration as well, because at times we have seen that both of them are not in sync with each other, so there is a requirement to bring them also in sync with each other. तो इस तरीके की चीजें लिखनी है. गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के लिए भी आप फिर लिख सकते हो कि स्टेट लेवल के ऊपर, सेंट्रल लेवल के ऊपर देयर इज अ रिक्वायरमेंट टू हैव अ कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव स्ट्रेटजी. वी नीड टू हैव डिप्लोमैटिक एफर्ट्स गोइंग ऑन विद नेपाल सो दैट the cross border sort of training of these Naxalites and Maoists does not take place in Nepal. So these kind of things can be written by you. Okay, there is a requirement to build a consensus on a nationwide surrender strategy, and how do we upgrade the state security forces. Perhaps there is a requirement for the central government to provide more sources, more funds to the states. So these kind of things can be written by you in this particular answer. I hope that this is clear. There was absolutely nothing in this answer that you could not have written. You could have started off by talking about the extent of Naxalism. You could have started by talking about the quote. You could have started by talking about some incident related to Naxalism in the recent years, and this answer would have been a cakewalk. Very, very simple question. I don't see a lot of variation happening in this particular question in the examination this year. Now, before I move on to the next question, which is also related to border management, just like question number 11, question number 10, I just want to bring to your notice what all has to be prepared in this particular topic of left-wing extremism. See, I can't be going into all the topics, all the possible area of which can be asked by UPSC in the internal security question, but I am still giving you an idea of some of the topics. Left-wing extremism के अंदर क्या क्या प्रिपेयर करना है और क्या क्या सोर्सेज होंगे. देखिए, सबसे पहले तो मैं आपको सोर्सेज की बात बता देता हूं. इन सोर्सेज यू कैन रेफर द सेकंड ARC. देयर इज अ चैप्टर ऑन नक्सलिज्म व्हिच इज देयर. It's not a lot, so you can read it from there. Another source, very good source to read this, is the Bandyopadhyay Committee report. There was a planning commission report. There was an expert group of the planning commission, and they came out with a report on combating Naxalism, I think in the year 2007 or 2008, that still remains relevant to a large extent with respect to India. तो उसको आप एक बार रेफर कर सकते हो, right? Then what could be the other sources? और क्या sources रेफर किए जा सकते हैं? सर, पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी की कुछ रिपोर्ट्स हैं इसके रिगार्डिंग, आप उनको रेफर कर सकते हो, राइट? आपको कुछ मटेरियल जो है वो IDSA की वेबसाइट पे मिल जाएगा. यू कुड रेफर दैट एज वेल. सम ऑफ द रिपोर्ट्स दैट आर अवेलेबल ऑन IDSA वेबसाइट also could be referred by you, right? And then of course you could be referring the value added material of vision. You could refer some of the written notes, all of those things. ठीक है, पहले तो ये हो गया सोर्सेस. अब इसमें थीम्स क्या क्या प्रिपेयर करनी है आपको. सबसे पहले तो ओरिजिन एंड एवोल्यूशन of Naxalism or left-wing extremism in India. Definition, objective, structure, functioning of the left-wing extremists in India. The phases in which they have operated, etc. and so on and so forth. So that is one. Then you also need to prepare the topic of what are the causes for rise of Naxalism. Then you need to be knowing about the present status of Naxalism. Then you need to know about steps taken by the government on various levels to deal with Naxalism, by central government, state government, so on and so forth. Then you need to talk about, you need to be prepared with what are the criticisms or shortcomings in government's approach of dealing with Naxalism. And then lastly, once all of these topics are done, what is the way ahead of dealing with Naxalism, and very importantly, what is the Andhra Pradesh model of combating Naxalism. These are some of the things that you need to prepare as a part of the topic of left-wing extremism and Naxalism for the examination. Please have a look at the previous year questions and you will understand things more. इसके अंदर एक एक चीज में आपको डिटेल में जाना पड़ेगा, ऊपर से नहीं करने से होगा सिर्फ. You will have to go into a bit of depth of these particular topics in order to get more marks from the examiner in these topics. Any questions that you people have? Any question? Any question? I'm waiting on the chat. If there is any question, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm moving to the next topic. Analyze the internal security threats and trans-border crimes along Myanmar, Bangladesh and Pakistan borders, including the line of control. Also discuss the role played by various security agencies in this regard. I mean, if my students would, I'm sure many of my students, when they would have seen this question, they would have been extremely happy, because somehow, fortunately or unfortunately, I taught them this topic this way only, of the border management country wise, कि country wise क्या क्या challenges हैं borders के ऊपर इंडिया के. तो उसी से related एक question देख लेते हैं. It says that analyze the internal security threats and trans-border crimes along Myanmar, Bangladesh and Pakistan border. So आपको analyze करना है सिक्योरिटी थ्रेट्स को ब्रेक डाउन. सो व्हाट यू हैव टू बेसिकली डू इज, पाकिस्तान बॉर्डर पे क्या चैलेंजेस हैं और रीजंस क्या हैं, म्यांमार बॉर्डर पे क्या चैलेंजेस हैं और रीजंस क्या हैं. व्हाट आर द चैलेंजेस दैट एग्जिस्ट ऑन म्यांमार बॉर्डर विद रिस्पेक्ट टू इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी, ट्रांस बॉर्डर क्राइम्स एक्सेट्रा. व्हाट आर द चैलेंजेस दैट एग्जिस्ट ऑन द पाकिस्तान बॉर्डर एंड व्हाट आर द चैलेंजेस दैट एग्जिस्ट ऑन दी कौन सा है, बांग्लादेश बॉर्डर. ठीक है जी, 3 आर देयर. नाउ हाउ डू यू बिगिन द आंसर? यू कैन बिगिन बाय राइटिंग अबाउट लिंकिंग, you link border management with internal security, that how border management plays such a crucial role in determining the internal security challenges and the responses to those internal security challenges by a particular country. पहले तो आप इसको मेंशन करके आप इंट्रोडक्शन दे सकते हो, ठीक है. फिर आप बात कीजिए एक एक नेबर की. फॉर एग्जाम्पल म्यांमार, व्हाट वुड बी द थिंग्स यू वुड बी मेंशनिंग? सी, म्यांमार इज द पार्ट ऑफ द गोल्डन ट्रायंगल and therefore it is one of the major sources of drugs and narcotics coming into India. Illegal trafficking of drugs is happening into India and a whole lot of this is happening with the help of insurgent groups. ये सब लिखना बड़ा जरूरी है. एनालिसिस पूछा है उसने. You have to analyze also. So you have to give a bit of information about what is the reason behind these particular security threats that are affecting these borders with our neighboring countries. तो आप इसके बारे में लिख सकते हो. म्यांमार, गोल्डन ट्रायंगल, ड्रग्स, नारकोटिक्स, इंसर्जेंट ग्रुप्स एक्सेट्रा. You could be talking about that there is an illegal arms trade also that is occurring on these borders. Then you could be talking about that there is a insurgent movement that is taking place in northeast India and which is also getting supported by, because of the porous nature of the border that we have with Myanmar, where the movement of the people becomes very easy and therefore a lot of these terrorists, they seek safe haven, seek refuge for themselves in Myanmar after committing their crimes in India. Or they have their terrorist camps, they have their insurgent training camps, they have their insurgent training camps in these areas. Arms trade is happening, narcotics trade is happening. You could also be talking about that how all of this is being added to because of the existence of the free movement regime on the Indo-Myanmar border. I hope all of you know about the free movement regime. If you do not, please search what is free movement regime on Indo-Myanmar border and how it is contributing to internal security threats on Indo-Myanmar border. Other thing that you could be mentioning about is that there is illegal smuggling of the items also which is happening here. There is flesh trade also which is occurring on India-Myanmar border. So these are some of the challenges that you could be mentioning. Then Bangladesh border, what are the major challenges? See, first and foremost is illegal migration because of the difficulty of fencing the borders with Bangladesh, because of the kind of economic situation that exists in Bangladesh, because of the presence of porous borders that we have with Bangladesh which are very difficult to guard. Then you could be talking about cattle smuggling. This is one major trouble that exists on Indo-Bangladesh border. Almost 1 lakh cattle are illegally smuggled from India to Bangladesh every year, thereby causing a great depletion of the natural resources to our country, as well as causing arousing of large sentiments among various sections of the society in India. So cattle smuggling is another thing that you could be mentioning. फिर और क्या लिख सकते हो? Same insurgency. Examples दीजिएगा यहाँ पर जितने हो सकते हैं. In insurgency you will give example of ULFA. Here you will give example of NSCN. You will give example of some of the other Manipuri groups as well. Similarly, you would be talking about Golden Triangle. बांग्लादेश के केस में आप इलीगल इमिग्रेशन की बात करोगे, जहां पे आप एक नंबर दे सकते हो दैट इट इज एस्टिमेटेड दैट देयर आर क्लोज टू 30 मिलियन illegal Bangladeshis in India, illegally residing 30 million illegal Bangladeshis in India. So you could be mentioning that as well, right? फिर और Indo-Bangladesh border के ऊपर क्या challenge है? What else could you be mentioning about? You could be mentioning about again smuggling of gold, etc., and human trafficking. Major challenge on Indo-Bangladesh border. Human trafficking. Okay. Then Indo-Pakistan border, influx of fake Indian currency notes, narcotics coming in. फिर पाकिस्तान का दुनिया में सबसे बेस्ट एक्सपोर्ट, टेररिस्ट, इन्फिल्ट्रेशन. पाकिस्तान सबसे ज्यादा एक्सपोर्ट क्या करता है? इन्फिल्ट्रेटर्स. A country of infiltrators will only export infiltrators. No? Infiltrators, narcotics, fake Indian currency notes, narcotics especially along Indo-Punjab and the Indo-Pakistan border on Punjab or Indo-Pakistan border in Rajasthan, fake Indian currency notes, infiltration, frequent ceasefires that are taking place. So these ceasefire violations that are taking place, these are some of the things that you could be mentioning. फिर लिखा है, discuss the role played by various security agencies in this regard. So what you could do is, you could list down some of the security agencies. Maybe अगर मैं आपकी जगह होता तो मैं एक डायग्राम बना देता. मैं एक डायग्राम में एक टेबल सा बना देता और मैं एक टेबल के अंदर लिख देता कि कौन से बॉर्डर के ऊपर कौन सी सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस डिप्लॉयड है. फॉर एग्जांपल, BSF इज डिप्लॉयड ऑन Indo-Pakistan and Indo-Bangladesh border. Similarly, I would have written that ITBP, it is positioned on the Indo-China border. Then SSB, इंडो-नेपाल, इंडो-भूटान बॉर्डर, राइट. सिमिलरली ऐसे करते करते मैं सबका लिख देता. फिर मैं लिखता कि रोल क्या है, व्हाट इज द रोल विच इज प्लेड बाय द वेरियस सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज. क्या रोल प्ले करती हैं वेरियस सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज. तो आप इसको भी फिर वही लिखिएगा. सर्वेलेंस करते हैं, दे आर इन्वॉल्व इन सर्वेलेंस. सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट तो सर्वेलेंस है. फिर इंटेलिजेंस कलेक्शन करते हैं, इंटेलिजेंस गैदरिंग करते हैं. दे आर इन्वॉल्व इन पेट्रोलिंग ऑफ दीज एरियाज. दे आर इन्वॉल्व इन सम रिलीफ डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन at times of calamity to the local population. They are also involved in the upgradation of infrastructure in these areas from time to time. They are also involved in the promotion of trade with the neighboring countries from time to time. Right? Movement of people and so. तो इस तरीके के आपको रोल लिखने होंगे. आप सबके एक साथ लिख दीजिएगा, बट वहां पर एक जरूर table बना दीजिए और do something like that in order to tell the examiner that you know which border has what security forces deployed where and for what particular purpose. Purpose तो सबका almost सबका same ही है, right? So वहां पे आप बड़ी सारी चीजें लिख सकते हो, पेट्रोलिंग लिख सकते हो, कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ स्कूल बिल्डिंग लिख सकते हो. ड्यूरिंग पीस टाइम दे आर ऑल्सो इन्वॉल्व इन प्रिवेंटिंग द ट्रांस बॉर्डर क्राइम, स्मगलिंग को चेक करना आप लिख सकते हो. दे आर ऑल्सो इन्वॉल्व इन फाइटिंग अगेंस्ट द टेररिस्ट, काउंटर टेररिस्ट ऑपरेशन, सो एंड सो फोर्थ, ये लिख सकते हो. व्हेन यू हैव रिटन ऑल ऑफ दिस देन द क्वेश्चन अराइजेस दैट सर हम कंक्लूजन में क्या लिखेंगे. कंक्लूजन में या तो आप थोड़े बहुत चैलेंजेस लिख दीजिएगा व्हाट आर related to border guarding forces in India, or you could write down about some of the recommendations of the committee of parliament on the border guarding forces and what should be done in order to improve their situation and to improve their status. Okay, so now the question is that sir ये सारा topic prepare कहां से होंगे. फिर वही बात आ जाती है border management के लिए क्या sources होने चाहिए सर, and what could be the approach जो आपने और topics के लिए जैसे approach बताई, तो क्या अप्रोच होनी चाहिए बॉर्डर मैनेजमेंट के लिए. सो लेट मी टेल यू दैट क्विकली एंड देन लेट मी टेल यू दैट व्हाट टॉपिक्स कैन यू एक्सपेक्ट मोर इंपॉर्टेंटली फ्रॉम द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ नेक्स्ट ईयर. तो बॉर्डर मैनेजमेंट एक अगेन आपका टॉपिक है सिलेबस का, एज यू पीपल वुड नो. नक्सलिज्म वाला जो क्वेश्चन है दैट कम्स फ्रॉम द टॉपिक ऑफ लिंकेजेस बिटवीन डेवलपमेंट एंड स्प्रेड ऑफ एक्सट्रीमिज्म. ओके, अब बॉर्डर मैनेजमेंट के टॉपिक के लिए सर हम क्या क्या और कहां से प्रिपेयर करें सर, क्या क्या करें. देखिए पहली बात तो ये कि आपको डेफिनेशन पता होनी चाहिए बॉर्डर मैनेजमेंट की, इसके लिए आप गवर्नमेंट की रिपोर्ट्स देखिएगा. सेकेंडली आप और क्या कर सकते हैं, यू कुड बी टॉकिंग अबाउट द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ बॉर्डर मैनेजमेंट, देन यू शुड नो अबाउट चैलेंजेस ऑफ बॉर्डर मैनेजमेंट, then you should know about steps that have been taken for border management in India, border area development program, integrated comprehensive border management scheme, etc. and system and so on and so forth. And you should know about what is the way ahead. And all of this should be done from the perspective of each and every neighboring country that we have, whether it is Sri Lanka, whether it is Pakistan, whether it is China, whether it is Myanmar, whether it is Bhutan, Nepal, etc. and so on and so forth. Also, when you are preparing, please do focus on preparing border management from the perspective of coastal security as well, because that is also a very crucial part of India's border management program, but not necessarily land border management. Okay, तो ये भी पोर्शन प्रिपेयर करना है. अब सर सोर्सेज क्या होंगे इसके? सोर्सेज के लिए सर एक तो IDSA की रिपोर्ट है, आप वो रेफर कर लीजिएगा. और दूसरा एक बहुत ही अच्छा सोर्स है कि 2017 में there was a report of parliament on the border guarding forces or something like that. वो आप एक बार रिपोर्ट रेफर कर लीजिएगा पार्लियामेंट की. मैं आपको रिपोर्ट का नाम भी बता देता हूं एग्जैक्ट. आई विल जस्ट टेल यू द नेम ऑफ द रिपोर्ट. या इट्स डिपार्टमेंट रिलेटेड पार्लियामेंट डिपार्टमेंट रिलेटेड पार्लियामेंट्री स्टैंडिंग कमिटी ऑन होम अफेयर्स. And the report was titled Border Security Capacity Building and Institutions. Okay, so that is another resource that you could be referring from this. ठीक है जी. अब क्या क्वेश्चन सर इस बार क्या नई टॉपिक्स कवर किए जो कि आपको लगता है नेक्स्ट ईयर के लिए बड़े इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाते हैं? देखो बॉर्डर मैनेजमेंट से इन्होंने इस बार 2 सवाल पूछ लिए हैं. I have an expectation that they should not ask anything next year. Does not mean that you should not prepare border management. You should. But one topic that you should keep a lot of emphasis on for next year is money laundering. It's a topic that they haven't really explored much till now. Second topic that you need to give a lot of emphasis on is role of media and social media in creating challenges to India's internal security. तो आप ये टॉपिक भी एक अच्छे से प्रिपेयर कर लीजिएगा, रोल ऑफ मीडिया एंड सोशल मीडिया इन क्रिएटिंग चैलेंजेस टू इंडियाज इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी. ठीक है जी. सो मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग, रोल ऑफ मीडिया, सोशल मीडिया, ये हो गया. फिर उसके अलावा जो एक बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक मेरे को बड़े सारों से लगता है, वेरियस सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज एंड देयर मैंडेट में एक टॉपिक है आपका वेरियस सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज एंड देयर मैंडेट. ये सारे टॉपिक्स हैं आपके सिलेबस के. मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग एंड प्रिवेंशन, रोल ऑफ मीडिया एंड सोशल मीडिया एंड क्रिएटिंग चैलेंजेस टू इंडियाज इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी. वेरियस सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज एंड देयर मैंडेट में आप CAPF के टॉपिक को अच्छे से प्रिपेयर कर लीजिएगा, चैलेंजेस रिलेटेड टू देयर फंक्शनिंग एक्सेट्रा एंड सो फोर्थ. Right, this is another topic. Fourth very important topic which I can see which is going to be creating tremors in the coming years is the relationship between organized crime and terrorism. और इससे रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन आने की बहुत एक्सपेक्टेशन है। साइबर सिक्योरिटी तो हमेशा एवरग्रीन टॉपिक है, ये तो अच्छे से प्रिपेयर करना ही है। इफ यू डोंट प्रिपेयर दिस देन यू आर क्रिएटिंग अ ट्रबल फॉर योरसेल्फ। एंड लास्टली, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक फॉर द अपकमिंग ईयर इज रोल ऑफ एक्सटर्नल स्टेट एक्टर्स in creating challenges to India's internal security or in India's internal security। ये बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है, एक्सटर्नल स्टेट एक्टर्स के क्या क्या रोल रहा है, इसको प्रिपेयर करने के लिए। ठीक है, एनी डाउट्स और एनी क्वेश्चन दैट यू पीपल हैव, प्लीज आस्क। प्लीज टेल मी व्हाट आर द क्वेश्चंस दैट यू हैव। Any questions that you people may have? See, a lot of you have been sending mail on my email ID as well. I have not been able to respond for a good number of months now, and I am really sorry for that. It's just the just how things have been at my end. But I'll try to respond to the mails that have been sent to me. You already know where to reach out to me. Any questions? Any questions? Please feel free to ask quickly. Otherwise, I'll finish the session. Any question? If you don't have any question, then we'll call this session off. So Abhishek is saying this, how to revise things, how to make an effective revision plan. See, the best way is that you should have notes for everything. If not notes, at least wherever and whichever book you are reading from, on the margins you should have the major points of what you have studied on every page, and that's the only way to revise. Best two things have to be kept in mind for revision. One, your sources should not be too many. Second, your sources should be consolidated. That is, all of them should be at one place. You could have an index prepared at one place कि यार ये वाले टॉपिक के लिए इस फला फला किताब के इस पेज से पढ़ना है, इस टॉपिक के लिए इस नोटबुक के इस पेज से पढ़ना है, या इसके लिए ये करंट अफेयर मटेरियल रेफर करना है. Either you do that or you have all of them compiled at one place in form of photocopy or whatever, in whichever way, which in my opinion is a very cumbersome thing. So the first one makes more sense. Second, as I said, is that anything that you are reading, there should be a synopsis of it available to you, which you can revise every time, and try to be regular and consistent with your revision. Do not think that today you will read something and then maybe after a month I will revise it. सब गोबर हो जाएगा, सब जीरो हो जाएगा, अंडा बन जाएगा उसका दिमाग के अंदर. So if you really want to revise things properly, ensure that you revise within 24 hours, then you revise in 3 days, then you revise in a week's time, then you revise in 2 weeks time, and then you revise in a month's time, and then you revise in 3 months, and then you revise in a year's time. ऐसे करके करना पड़ेगा, तभी आपके दिमाग में चीजें कंसोलिडेट होंगी. अदरवाइज अगर आप एक टॉपिक पढ़ के 1 महीने बाद रिवाइज करने जाओगे तो कुछ नहीं याद आएगा और कोई फायदा भी नहीं है, वो आपका सब वेस्ट हो जाएगा. एनी अदर क्वेश्चन? So what should be the strategy of students now who have written this year's mains? See, my suggestion will be, you people have already got a decent break now of last 1 week or so. जितना ब्रेक लेना है, 1 हफ्ते का और 3-4 दिन ब्रेक ले लो. After that you get back to the grind and you start looking at the DAF that you have submitted to UPSC. Start analyzing each and every portion of it. Look at some of the previous year toppers interviews, ट्रांसक्रिप्ट, और उसके बेसिस के ऊपर देखिए कि आपको क्या क्वेश्चंस पूछे जा सकते हैं. ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड ईच एंड एवरीथिंग दैट यू हैव मेंशन्ड इन योर डैफ. लेट्स से यू हैव मेंशन्ड स्विमिंग एज अ हॉबी. You should know basics of swimming. You should revise those things. You should know about who has won the 100 meter at Olympics in the last Olympics, who has won the 200 meters, who won the butterfly, who won the the breaststroke, who won this, that. So you should be aware of these things. You should be knowing about the latest developments that are happening in the sport of swimming as well. तो इस तरह से आपको एक एक चीज अपने आपके जो डैफ में मेंशन्ड है वो प्रिपेयर करना होगा. अगर आपने बर्थ प्लेस अपना पुरुलिया लिखा है तो यू शुड नो वेयर पुरुलिया इज, व्हाट इज द हिस्ट्री ऑफ पुरुलिया, व्हाट आर द मेजर इंसिडेंट दैट हैव हैपेंड इन पुरुलिया, व्हाट इज द ज्योग्राफी ऑफ पुरुलिया. तो कोशिश कीजिएगा कि इस तरीके से इन डेप्थ हर चीज को प्रिपेयर करें, पहली। सेकेंडली, मेक अ ग्रुप of 3 to 4 people among your friends and start discussing topics on a weekly basis or bi-weekly basis. 4-5-10 topics रखो, 5 लोगों का friends का group है, everyone will prepare 2 topics. One will prepare, let's say, on COVID-19 and India's response to it. Someone else will prepare the farm laws and the agitation. Third person would prepare something related to India's development of the COVID-19 vaccine or whatever. ऐसे करते करते 10 टॉपिक कर लिए, आप डिस्कस कीजिए अपने बीच में। एक आदमी जो है मॉडरेट करेगा पूरी डिस्कशन, द पर्सन हु विल बी द लीडर हु वुड हैव प्रिपेयर्ड, एंड द अदर्स विल डिस्कस दैट वे, और वन पर्सन कैन डिलीवर अ स्पीच दैट दिस इज व्हाट आई हैव प्रिपेयर्ड, नाउ लेट्स डिस्कस। डिस्कशन करो, क्वेश्चंस निकालो, ट्राई टू बी इंक्विजिटिव अबाउट द टॉपिक्स दैट यू आर प्रिपेयरिंग, ट्राई टू थिंक what could be possible questions around each and every topic that you have to prepare. तो ये कीजिएगा नेक्स्ट 2-3 महीने के लिए। इतने में डेट्स आ जाएंगी पर्सनैलिटी टेस्ट की। ठीक है, और कुछ? Should we read newspaper now with 5 months in hand for prelims? Yes sir, you have to read newspaper up till 15 days before prelims. Okay, is 6 months enough for prelims? Even 3 months are enough for prelims, depends upon how much time you are willing to devote, what is your level of preparation till now, and what kind of background you have you had some kind of exposure to these subjects, etc., and so many other things put there. But for an average student, someone who does not necessarily have a background, someone who's preparing from scratch, 6 months is enough to prepare for prelims alone. I won't say that you can prepare for prelims and mains both in 6 months. It is very difficult along with optional, but you can definitely do a large portion of GS for prelims and mains in 6 months. Okay, ये मैंने क्वेश्चन कर दिया है, प्रकाश ऑलरेडी आंसर। सर हिस्ट्री क्वेश्चंस के ऊपर क्यों पूछ रहे हो मुझसे यार, मैं हिस्ट्री का टीचर ही नहीं हूं जब तो। ओके, एनीथिंग एल्स? ओके, ठीक है, फेयर एनफ। सो आई थिंक I'll stop the queries here. Thank you so much, and wishing all of you all the very best. I hope that you found this session useful, and I'll see you again very soon. Thank you. Bye bye.